guitar lesson on how to play the blues shuffle in A. It goes like this. That's once through the blues shuffle in A. And this is a rhythm pattern that we use in blues music. It's super soulful, rhythmic, and it's really recognizable. I feel like anytime you start to play that, everybody kind of has this like familiarity with that sound, which is really great to learn some of these really common chord progressions, riffs that will connect us with our audience because they feel like they already know it and carry us forward in our playing. So definitely add this into your practice. The first thing that I think is important to know about it is that it follows a structure called the 12-bar blues. The 12-bar blues is a chord progression that exists for 12 bars. So in music, a bar is also called a measure. It's a group of 4 beats. We divide written music into groups typically of 4 beats, or maybe a different variety of beats, but in this case, groups of 4 beats. The measures are written down, divided by what we call bar lines. So that's where we can also see the word bars. 12 bars of music. The bars are divided between 3 different chords. We call them the 1 chord, the 4 chord, and the 5 chord. So if you've ever been to a jam, you might hear people calling out, it's 1, 4, 5 in the key of A. So it's 1, 4, 5 in the key of A, 12-bar blues. Saying that to a musician would tell them that you're going to play this song structure that I just demonstrated. The 1, 4, 5 chords, what are those? Each one of those numbers corresponds with one of the notes in the major scale. So a major scale has 7 different tones and then an octave. So 2 of the notes are the same, but if I were to count them and play a major scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, octave. That means my 1 chord is a group of notes that begins on the first note of the scale. My 4 chord is a group of notes that we call a triad that begins on the 4th note of the scale. And my 5 chord is a group of notes that begins on the 5th note of the scale. So this is when knowing all of your major scales can really come in handy, or at least being able to figure out how it sounds, because you could figure out, okay, I need a 1, 4, 5, so if I can at least play my major scale on a single string, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then I know that I have 1 here, 2, 3, 4 here, and hey, I know what note the 5th string A is, that's D, my open D, and then 5, that must be above D, so what comes after D in the alphabet? E. That's a little bit about how to figure out your 1, 4, 5 chords in any key. It's a number associated with each one of the tones of the major scale. You can also replace or substitute these what we call major triads, which is just A, D, and E, with what we call 7 chord. A 7 chord adds an additional note, a 4th note that's very bluesy sounding. Or you could do what we're doing today. Instead of adding extra notes, we're going to take away some notes and use something called a power chord. A power chord is a 2-note chord, and it is a shape that's pretty useful, especially if you're just starting guitar and you really want to hang in a jam, but you don't have all those fancy chord shapes down yet. You can just play with power chords. And of course, there's types of music that only use power chords. Our structure is 4 bars of the 1 chord, 2 bars of the 4 chord, 2 bars of the 1 chord, and then we have a group of 4 bars where the chord changes every measure, where it goes 5, 4, 1, 5. So 1 bar of each of those. That's the structure using the 1, 4, 5 chords. Let's talk about power chords. Our power chords are 2-note chords that we use just using 2 strings. That means our left hand is only going to fret 2 strings. It also means our right hand is only picking the 2 strings that we are fretting. So many times I teach people a power chord and they continue to strum through all the strings. It takes a little bit more pick control. You have to stay pretty close to the strings, nice and relaxed in the right hand. Our power chords that we're using today are not our traditional power chord shape, which looks a bit like this. It's an open power chord shape, which means we're going to use an open string and a fretted string. This is our A power chord. It's my open 5th string and my 4th string fretted on the 2nd fret. That's A. Then we have D. Our D chord is our open D string, which is our 4th string, and our 3rd string fretted on the 2nd fret. It's the same shape, moved a string. Back to A. Our A string guides us. Add the 2nd fret of that D string. Then let's do the E chord, which is our 5 chord. Low E string, 2nd fret of the A string. And then we will go back our D chord, which is our open D, 2nd fret of the G string, and then back to A, which is open A, 2nd fret of the D string. Our 1 chord is A, our 4 chord is D, and our 5 chord is E. Once you can find all those, we're going to add the shuffle. We're going to bring out, by strumming the same 2 strings, our ring finger. Our ring finger is going to go from fret 2, and then it's going to reach up all the way to fret 4. It sounds a little something like this. I am still strumming the 2 strings, my open, in this case, my open A, 2nd fret of my D string, my 4th string. And instead of just sticking with the 2nd fret of the D string, I'm adding the 4th fret of the D string. I would count that to make sure that I do it for 4 measures. The 12-bar blues has 4 measures of our 1 chord at the beginning of the song. So that means if I'm counting, I'm going to feel, each one of these notes are what we call 8th notes. Each group of 2 is worth 1 beat. So I would feel it like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. 3rd measure, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4. Now I'll change. So same shape. Remember, we're doing this really easy. So we're going to be on our open D, 2nd fret of the G string, and same thing, except this time I only want 2 bars. So I'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. Back to A for 2, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, this is when we switch our chords every single measure. So we're going to go to our 5 chord, which is 6th string and 5th string. And we'll do that for 1 measure. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then our 4 chord for 1 measure. Our 4 chord is D. So we'll go up to the D string and the G string fretted. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then back to our 1 chord A for 1 measure. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then E to bring us back around to the beginning. So one thing that people do encounter when they're working on this is a difficulty in feeling that shuffle rhythm that goes long, short, long, short, long, short, long, short. So if you take a look at the tab, which you can download, we're seeing an 8th note pulse, an 8th note rhythm there. And when you read that, most people want to feel it as which I jokingly say always kind of sounds like a 60s band take on the blues shuffle. So that's what we call a straight eighth note, where we feel 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... But we want to swing it, we want to add a little shuffle. So we're gonna make the first of our pair of eighth notes longer and the second shorter. So it goes long, short, long, short, long, short. Like you're adding like a lazy walk. Lazy, 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 lazy. Around through your chord progression. That is pretty much how to do the blues shuffle in A. You can apply that to any key and pull it out at jams. It's really easy for people to solo over. They usually go for, when you're first beginning, A minor pentatonic scale. You can solo over that chord progression. And let me know if you have any questions, because I'm always looking out for questions from you all. And I hope you have a great day. Hope you enjoyed the class, and I hope to see you soon. All right, see you. Bye.